So, Hieronymous says as we nibble at the tray of otherworld delicacies placed before us, I do feel I need to apologize to you regarding what your friends said. Wait, what? I ask as I look up at him. What did Virginia say? About getting you a gift, Hieronymus replies. She has a point. Our relationship has never been material, but I do have the means to get you anything you desire. But I don't need anything, I remind him. I just need you. And I like that we aren't big on gift giving. I like spending time with you. I like having new experiences with you. I know you don't know this, but for my birthday growing up, my parents would only get me one gift. They usually gave me the option of going to an amusement park, or hosting a party at my house for my friends, or buying an expensive gift. Like, for my 16th birthday, I ended up getting a $200 leather jacket I really wanted instead of having a Sweet 16 party like all my friends had. It was always one or the other, not both. Hieronymus just shakes his head. I still feel like I could have gotten you something as a small token of my affection for you. Like a teddy bear? I ask as I raise an eyebrow. If you get me a teddy bear for every holiday, then in a few years I will have an entire closet full of teddy bears. What would I do with them? I'd feel bad about giving them away since you got them for me, but I'd feel worse that they were just locked away somewhere. No, if you want to get me a gift, I want it to be something heartfelt. Something perfect. Like your love letters, or like the amulet you got that links us together. Yes, well, Hieronymus says, the amulet does seem to have served its purpose, especially now. Oh, that reminds me, I pipe up. I found out that you got the stone from Jacob's parents. I met them the other day when we were talking about Virginia's wedding, and they told me about it. Oh? Hieronymus asks. And how was that encounter? It was fine, I say with a shrug. They told me a little bit about how hard it is to get an amulet like this. They said that they were surprised that you wanted one, considering that you planned on ending the contract when a year and a day was up. Hieronymus just shrugs uncomfortably and waits to finish chewing before responding. It was not a decision I made lightly, Tori. Given our intimate encounter in the detention room, I was set on continuing our relationship. But after you remembered everything and I could not awaken you from your stupor, I realized that it was too dangerous for you to stay with me, and I was being selfish trying to keep you when you'd be better off with someone your own age. Guys my own age are jerks, I point out, and Hieronymus hums in agreement. I'm not going to lie. The conversation we had after I woke up from our battle with Damien was really traumatic to me. Even after Keo cursed me and knocked me out, the first thing I thought when I woke up and you weren't there was that you ran off to schedule the severance because you thought I almost died again. Hieronymus frowns. You never told me that, he says quietly, and I just shrug. You told me you cared about me, and yet you were ready to turn your back on me, I continue. I was really vulnerable after I got my memories back. It felt like there was suddenly so much in my head that I didn't have space for it all, but I couldn't deal with that when I had you telling me that you didn't want anything to do with me anymore. I know you were just trying to protect yourself, but it still really hurt. I'm sorry, Tori, Hieronymus says quietly. I don't know what I can do but apologize. I know you are, I remind him, but the stone wouldn't have worked if we weren't really in love with each other, would it? No, Hieronymus replies. I can tell he didn't like this conversation, but it was one that we needed to have. I didn't realize that I'd still been harboring such strong feelings about it, but I feel like there's a heavy weight on my chest and it's difficult for me to suck in a breath. There are many couples who seek these stones, Hieronymus explains. They don't work for everyone. I thought about what you said the night of the May Day ball. I thought about the way you blushed when I touched your hand the night of the dark dance, and I decided to give it a try. I thought it might work to keep you grounded and to help me stay more attuned with your presence. At the time, I was more focused on keeping you safe and retrieving your memories than trying to figure out why the stones worked. But you scheduled the severance after I was safe, I remind him. I woke up and the first thing you told me was to go see Potsdam so that she could tell me that you scheduled the severance. If we were really so bonded, even that early on in our relationship, why would you end it? To ease my own guilt, Hieronymous replies after a few moments have passed. I was unable to protect you, Tori, and I felt that you deserved better. But you are right. Considering our connection and the way you felt about me, I don't think for 1 second that you would have acquiesced to ending our relationship, and considering the legal ramifications involved, I doubt anything would have come of it. Legal ramifications? I ask blankly. Although I had not yet taken on my father's seat, I was still a noble, Hieronymous reminds me. Lawyers would have to get involved to make sure that you were being compensated adequately. I would have provided you with a hefty financial stipend for the rest of your life, as well as covered all costs of your future education. I am sure there are many other things that your lawyer would request of me as well. Potsdam would no doubt choose only the best to represent you. It would have been meant to punish me, of course, but given how much you suffered from our connection, I can't imagine anything I would have denied you. I shake my head. I know at least a little bit about that, but I wouldn't accept anything from you. If I really did have to get a lawyer, I'd ask for you to cover their legal fees, I guess, but you were only in that position because I tried to save you. I wouldn't want to profit off of that. You were only in that position because of Potsdam's trickery, Hieronymous reminds me firmly. I'm sorry that our earlier conversation has grieved you for so long, Tori, but know that it was a hollow threat, and one I am extremely doubtful I would have executed. I spent every day of those 7 months fussing over you. You were the first thing I thought about in the morning, and the last thing I thought about at night. If I ended our relationship, what would I do? What would I have to concern myself with? Your books? I offer, but Hieronymous just smiles and shakes his head. Even if we had gone through with a severance that day, you still would have had over 2 years left on that campus, he reminds me. I can't for 1 minute imagine that I would suddenly be able to move on from how I felt about you, nor do I think you would have moved on from how you felt about me. If you ever need any confirmation that we are truly meant for one another, that stone is the surest sign you have. I blush, but I can't think of anything to say. He was right, of course. Even if he had ended the relationship, I still would have had feelings for him. Maybe he wouldn't pursue me as a student, but I could have tried to get him to reconsider me once I graduated. Eventually, Hieronymous grins. I love when I strike you speechless. I'm not speechless, I stammer, still blushing. I'm just wishing we were in a more private location right now. That's all. So do I, Hieronymous admits with a shake of his head. But you kept me waiting for weeks before we became intimate. We can wait 2 more. I didn't keep you waiting, I say as my cheeks turn scarlet. I was ready too. I just wanted to wait for the right moment, is all. And was it the right time? Hieronymous asks with good humor in his voice. Yes, I say happily, before I suddenly grin and shake my head. Actually, the best time would have been May Day Ball my freshman year, after I told you I first had feelings for you. Hieronymus' eyebrows shoot up in surprise, and he looks absolutely stunned. You should count yourself lucky you even got a kiss, he tells me. I won't make light of the fact that you were a student, Tori, and I had many reservations concerning not only our age gap, but the power discrepancies between us. I know, I say quietly, and I didn't do a good job of making that any easier for you. No, you didn't, Hieronymous admits, but you did convince me that you were mature enough to at least try, and that is why we are together now. I can't help but beam up at him. And that's why you'll love me forever and ever? Hieronymous just chuckles. Of course. We spend the rest of the night together just talking about the good memories that we had together at Iris Academy, but eventually it's getting late and we head back to Iris Academy. I assured Hieronymous that we didn't actually need to get Virginia any chocolate or ice cream, mostly because she would probably be snoring by the time we got back. I should get going, Hieronymous says as we reach the gates of Iris Academy. I will see you soon, Tori. Okay? At least walk me to my door, I say. I might get lost. You know I have a horrible sense of direction. Or something could happen to me. You know the school is dangerous at night. Hieronymous sighs as he gestures for me to lead the way. So, have you seen any more ghosts this year? Nope, I reply. Amusa wasn't really a ghost. She was just a spell. I have also not seen any technology or try to explore any hidden areas of the school or do anything besides spending my afternoons and weekends in sports club and study club. Good to hear, Hieronymous says as he smooths down my hair. We're nearing my door now, and I try to slow down, but Hieronymous keeps his pace. I know you don't want to hear this, but I do have to get going. I know, I mope. At least say goodbye to Virginia, if she's still awake. Hieronymous lets out a sigh, and I open the door to reveal Virginia sitting on her bed, but she's not alone. Jacob is sitting there with her, and it seemed they were snogging pretty heavily before I opened the door. Wow, is all I can think of to say. Tori, Virginia warns. Wow, I repeat, still trying to wrap my head around what I had just witnessed. Please leave, Virginia says testily, and I quickly shut the door as I stare at the unpolished wood for a few moments, my hand still on the doorknob. I turn back to Hieronymous, who looks just as surprised as I feel. Well, if May Day magic worked for us, perhaps Valentine's Day magic worked for them, he asks. I suppose, I reply. I guess she figured I would guilt you into spending the night with me. Hieronymous hesitates, as though he doesn't know what to say. I really can't spend the night, Tori. That's okay, I say. The mailroom couch isn't that big, anyway. I start to head in that direction before I pause. Shoot, I'm not the treasurer anymore. I don't have the key. Hieronymous just sighs. Follow me. I follow him outside Horse Hall, and he takes my hand and teleports us just outside the staff buildings, leading me into another building I had never been in before. We have guest rooms set aside for interim and guest professors. You can sleep here tonight. Do not tell Potsdam. She already knows, I say with a roll of my eyes. Hieronymous stops as he turns back to face me, but then sighs in aggravation and keeps walking. Potsdam had been keeping an eye out for me for the past 2 years, and I doubted she was going to stop now, especially with Hieronymous on campus. He opens up one of the doors and leads me into a room that was furnished exactly the same way that Hieronymous's room had been. It didn't feel the same, though. The air didn't smell of old parchment, and it lacked the lived-in feel of Hieronymous's old room. Have a good night, Tori, Hieronymous says as he comes over to kiss me, but I just take his hand as I use magic to shut the door behind him. Tori, you know I can't stay. You can't stay the night, I remind him, pushing my chest against his as I wrap my arms around him. But you can stay a little longer, and then just use a sleep spell on me so I don't even realize you're gone. Hieronymous hesitates for a moment, and I can see the vulnerability in his eyes. I can't believe you're actually getting me to say this, but I don't want to just pleasure you and walk away. If we're going to be intimate, I want to spend the night with you too. Okay, I say softly as I reach up and place a chaste kiss on his lips. I understand. I'll see you soon, all right? I pull away and he smiles down at me before he leans in for another kiss. He pulls away slightly, his lips no more than a centimeter away from my own, before he bends down to kiss me again. This one is much more forceful than the one before it, and I'm not sure who lets out a breathy moan first, but it's probably me as I fist my hands in his hair. Hieronymous wraps both arms around me, holding my body flush against his. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Hieronymous asks, and I just giggle as I pull him towards the bed. True, I would be seeing Hieronymous in only a few short weeks, but we were together right now, and if there was one thing I had already learned about our relationship, is that I wanted to make the most of every second that we were together.